So I guess the first question would be, how do you look at G2's performance so far in MSI before you come here? Did you expect it to be this way, winning all the games so far, or did you have a little bit of doubt before you come here, and how did it change to the beginning?
So we built this G2 roster practicing and scrimming against the teams at last World Championship, like for
Oh,
example EDG and Dot1.
oh,
So I'd already seen our roster play a decent amount against international teams. I expected us to come to this tournament and be competitive, and be able to take games and possibly sets off of the Korean and Chinese teams. I didn't expect to be as dominant as we are. That to me is, I think, us really exceeding expectations from ourselves and us having really good match preparation and really good performance. So yeah, I expected us to compete, but I didn't expect to be so dominant, I would say.
so are you happy with the result? And what do you think is the key to the success so far?
I think if I were to say like the two keys of our success so far in MSI, I think the first is meta understanding. I think we have players that can play like any champ in the game, and we have a very good understanding of draft and how to use like our team compositions. Like for example, our comp was pretty fancy
Yeah.
against D1 in our first game, and also I think just our team like chemistry and synergy and ability to handle pressure is really good because we're always having so much fun and everyone's always so relaxed that even when the pressure is on, I feel like that's when my players perform the best.
So you guys maintain the G2 atmosphere,
Yeah,
even though there's a change in the roster, right? I think
yeah.
once I interviewed Carlos, and he said that G2 is a team that can focus when needed and be very serious, and outside of the game, they're all like having fun and playing around, which is really, really good to see in a team. Okay, let me see. So, how do you create this happiness now when you're being in a very competitive environment to maintain that casual relationship between members? Because like obviously, if they have like different thoughts about like drafts or what they want to play, they might have arguments, right? How do you make it better in the solve those issues when that comes up?
I think a lot of the synergy we have and ability to work through these issues together has to do with the trust we built by being very close and being friendly and learning more and more about each other throughout this year. I think it's something that needs to be built over time, and we, as staff, have put a lot of like effort into building these relationships between players and staffs and players and each other. I think also just like we have some really fun and nice personalities that are easy to work with I think also helps a lot.
Okay. So, how do you, it's very curious because we saw your BP so far, and it's very, very interesting, right? You said that your players can play all different kinds of champions. So, how do you choose those BP? Not releasing any secrets, but like it's just very interesting looking at all your drafts. So, how do you choose the right champion for like situations, and how do you know if the players can actually carry it through?
Um, for knowing what my players can play well, a lot of that comes from scrims, right? I watch every game my players play in scrims, and I watch a lot of their solo queue matches, and I just really pay attention to try and understand what my team is going to excel at. As far as preparing the draft, I think the first priority for me is understanding the priority picks in the meta, and I don't just mean which ones are the most OP, but which trades are good and which ones can be countered and which ones can be made useful or useless when played against groups of different champions. And then once you have those two, I guess last would be just like playing a draft that's very reactive. So your late picks have a lot to do with like actually reacting to what the opponents pick. We don't just like pick champs we want to play, right? We try and really think in the moment about what is good. And in that also is a lot on the players because when it gets to these late picks and drafts, they have a lot of view and ideas of their own lane and what
Oh.
is good.
Do you normally listen to them, or do you would you say that I think this one you should play this one? How is that balanced out? Very
I
curious.
usually run through the draft, like I'm the leader of the draft,
Oh,
especially the early picks are
oh,
usually always set
by you.
in stone. But as it gets to like the late picks, I'm a lot more willing to let my players decide and choose.
Awesome, awesome. Let me see. Can we talk a little bit about how you look at the competition between you and EU and NA? So how do you feel about NA this time? Because there's a big rivalry, right? So since forever between EU and NA, how do you look at the competition, and how do you think they can maybe improve looking at you guys?
I'm actually from Canada myself,
Yeah.
so I'm actually from NA, but I've been working in EU now for I think six years or something. So I've coached much longer in Europe than I've coached in NA.
Okay.
I think, at least at this tournament, I think we're much stronger than the NA opponents. Obviously, we won 5 games in a row against them.
Yeah.
I think as a region, just Europe has like a lot stronger teams, a lot deeper talent pool. But I do think EG at this tournament seems a little, I would say, nervous and underperforming. I think their match preparation has been like not as good as it was in their playoffs when they were confident. So I think it kind of screams of them kind of coming to these matches and being a bit unconfident with their preparation, not willing to be creative and try to actually get like winning drafts in situations. And I think that's kind of causing them to perform maybe, I would say, a little bit worse than I would have expected.
Okay, awesome. Let me see. So, how about playing against Asian teams? Like, how do you prepare for them? Like, in response to maybe like an A, because it might obviously it's going to be different, right? How do you prepare for teams when you're trying to fight against Asian teams? How is it different?
So, for example, versus T1, we scrimmed against T1 a lot leading up to this event. So we also watch all of their games. We have a lot of respect for T1 as a team. I think they're very, very good. So we study them, right? And we try and figure out like what are they good at, what are they bad at, what can we do to counter their strategies, etc. RNG, same thing. We are a bit less experienced against them, I would say. But I think there's a lot you can learn, right, from watching videos of these teams playing in China to understand their habits and what they like to do. As well as both of these teams have the entire group stage, right? I know they're kind of playing against weaker opponents, so it's hard to tell what is real and what is not. But there's still a lot we can learn.
Oh, okay. Kind of interested to know how you came up with this roster, because they're all superstars and they pretty match up pretty well in the team. So how do you came up with it?
I started working with the team last fall, right as the rebuild was going, and the idea was to kind of rebuild around Caps and Yankos. Broken Blade is a player I worked with actually on Schalke. Last year, we had one split where we did actually really well, I think, given our roster, and then things went really bad in summer. But I had seen him play against all the European top laners, and I knew he was the best. As for Flacket and Targa, people internationally might not know Targamas, but he won every single amateur tournament in basically the series last year, and was basically, I would say, the best player in all of the amateur leagues. So that was kind of obvious. Flacket actually was a bit of a more risky, I would say, signing, and one that we really went with our gut and what we felt. That was a lot more through just watching a lot of footage of a lot of different ADs and knowing how good his personality would fit in as well. Like, he's just so chill and fun and fits our team like great.
Awesome. So I guess the last question. Do you have anything you want to say to your fans in EU and everywhere else in the world?
I just want to thank all of the fans of G2. I know we have a lot of fans in Europe, of course, but it's been crazy even here in Korea, and I know in my time in China, there's a lot of fans of the European teams as well, which I think is amazing. We're just happy to come and compete against the best teams in the world, and we take the opportunity very seriously, and we just want to do our best and try our best games. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the interview. That was very informative and knowledgeable. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.